Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're having a quick look at manifesting things that are undesirable. And I wanted to do a quick video on this because I wanted to say that if undesirable things manifest in your reality, it does not mean that you attracted it in. And why I want to bring this up is because really our own responsibility is about how we respond to our reality and the people and places, things in it. And when things pop up that are outside of our control, it can actually be to do with what is going on out there. So what I mean by this is that we can be somebody who has good beliefs about ourselves and we're showing up in a good way, a positive way, and having healthy habits and routines and all of that kind of thing. And then we kind of go out into our reality and we see things that are not what is going on in our world, inside our mind and in our heart. So these things that can happen can blindside us as well too, in the sense that when we are dealing with people in our reality, we are dealing with people who also have their own limiting beliefs. And this is what I mean when I say that we only have free will in our own reality. And these people only have maybe free will in, they have free will in their reality, but in our reality, they're always going to show up how we continue to assume. So if something happens, for instance, in our reality, and somebody shows up in an undesirable way, when we don't actually have the awareness and we don't have the maybe the confidence, maybe we are, connected to this person in such a way that we're afraid to even bring up the awareness of how this affected us and our boundaries. And when we don't actually do that, those are the kind of ways then that things can manifest or unravel in an undesirable way. So when we notice things firsthand, that is when we take the choice. This is where we take our power, and this is how we manifest. If something shows up and it's like the first time that it shows up, brushing it aside and, kind of giving things the benefit of the doubt are kind of brushing aside your boundaries, and they're brushing aside what you believe to be true about yourself. Now, I'm not saying we all make mistakes, and I'm not saying that we don't, give a chance to things. What I'm saying is that we give the chance in a way that we are confident enough to express how we feel and how we think about these situations. It's the same with, our finances as well too. When we are showing up in a particular way, we want to have a good money mindset. We want to have good behaviors and habits around money, because, even sometimes we can be blindsided with, things like stocks going down and all these type of things that happen that are out of our control. But it's how we are able to respond to them because of the person that we are that actually ultimately manifests the turnaround or the positive outcome that we were hoping for. So when we're looking at people, they do have free will in their reality, and that is a thing. We have free will then in our own reality, and then again, when we are assuming things to be true about something, it can show up then in whatever way that we desire then in our reality, or not desire if we are going to continue to think in a negative way. So this is why belief work is so important, because when we get our beliefs in alignment, that is where the confidence actually comes. That is where we actually are able to express boundaries in every area of our life without being overpowering, without thinking that it's going to cause any, friction or anything like that, because we're inherently knowing that this is the truth of who we are. So who we show up right now, we inherently know that this is the truth of who we are. So if we kind of brush aside things that are, niggling at us a little bit, it's like suppressing emotions. They're going to come up eventually, and then we may have to deal with them in a harder kind of a way. So when undesirable things manifest, don't allow yourself to fall into this kind of toxic idea that I manifest everything and I manifested this. It's not, your responsibility to think that you manifested undesirable things. in your life, because, you know, we live in this world, as I say, we're engaging with so many different platforms, so many different people because of these platforms, and you know, it's impossible not to interact with anyone these days because of social media and everything like that. And so we want to be knowing that if things are undesirable or popped up undesirable, we know how to respond. We're aware of them and we know how to respond. So when we know from this awareness, then we don't have to fall into the spiral thinking we create everything. We do create from our thoughts, but our thoughts are going to create our habits, and our habit, you know, are creating our behaviors. So if our thoughts are where it starts, that is where we start then with our mindset. It gives us the confidence then to show up in a way that we will behave in a better response to whatever it is that is going on in our reality. But we do not manifest things that are undesirable because we're not sitting down thinking about the undesirable thing, and it just comes up out of the blue. And it does not mean that we have a load of limiting beliefs either to overcome in order to change it around. It just means that we just come into the awareness, okay, this thing happened, so let me just you know, look after myself for a while, or look after my mindset for a while, and then I'll respond how I choose to respond. And that is where the power is. It's never about, oh my God, I manifested this, how did I manifest this, what limiting beliefs did I have? No. Yes, we all are walking around with limiting beliefs. However, when we are aware of this, we know that we can change them, and not every limiting belief manifests. I mean, it's not that we have to go through a whole journey in our life and figure out every limiting belief that we ever had, because that's impossible. It's unrealistic to think that we can actually live our life in that way, because otherwise we will not be living our life. And we're human, we're going to make mistakes, there's going to be errors along the way, but it's how we respond to the errors and the mistakes and things like that that we make along the way. So I just wanted to do a video on that, just for anyone who, you know, finds themselves falling into that kind of, you know, confliction, where you think that, you know, something undesirable manifested, so, you know, it was because of something that you thought about. It's never because of that. If things manifest undesirable, it will probably, you know, can be maybe repeated behaviors or habits that can cause this undesirable result. So for instance, you know, if we find ourselves maybe bankrupt or whatever, the reason why we do that is because maybe we were engaging in habits that caused us to fall down, and we kept overlooking things, and we kept you know, thinking that if we do these other things or whatever, that it was going to change, but we didn't actually come into the awareness of how best to respond in the moment to whatever it was that caused us to fall into this bankruptcy, if that makes sense. It's the same with relationships. If we don't actually allow ourselves to speak up when the first time somebody steps over a boundary, if we don't allow ourselves to speak up in this kind of first time, as I say, overstepping the boundary, well, then we're not going to speak up the second time. It'll cause us a few times before we actually speak up, and then maybe something undesirable might manifest in between that, because we didn't honor our boundaries, or we didn't honor how we felt in the moment. So it's kind of those kind of little ways, these subtle kind of ways that things can undesirable manifest, but it doesn't mean that you manifested the undesirable thing. So always get that out of your head, that, you know, we are always manifesting, but it's how we respond to things, and it's how we decide to make a change as well too. So I just thought I would do a quick video on that, and I will chat to you soon.